Okay, it's 10:40 p.m. and I just woke up and I decided to learn the Chainsaw Man opening for the intro of this video. Here it goes. Sorry if I mess up. Okay, it wasn't perfect, but I learned it in 15 minutes.
It's Chainsaw Man Tuesday, and this week we are on Chapter 212. The prophecies forespoke of this one, but I don't know. I don't think I had in mind what the prophecies did this week, because apparently Fumiko is AIDS, but like literally AIDS. She has the power of the STD devil. And now I bet every single one of you corn dogs are rethinking your life decisions and comments, or not. Both are possible. But this chapter of Chainsaw Man set up something that is both confusing, but also interesting. Denji now has a dilemma. Does he eat death and aid War to secure his happiness with her, or does he kill War and assure humanity is doomed? To simply put, there's a lot of stuff you probably missed with this chapter. A lot. 212 picks up from 211, with Little D finishing up her attention-grabbing plan, and it's gone. What was that plan? Nobody knows. Turns out that Denji was so focused on Little D's underwear that he couldn't, for a single second, hear any of the three strategies that D proposed to Denji. Now, I already hear it, and I wrote down on a sticky note last week to stop airing my grievances with my frustrations with some community sentiment about this series. But good God, I don't even need to read the comments to know the bevy of complaints coming out of this week's chapter on a weekly to bi-weekly series. I'm gonna stop. I love the fact that at the end of the flashing, the way she lowers her skirt. Oh, it's so funny to me. There is something about Little D and her demeanor and odd little movements that just make me crack. Like, she does it with perfect timing and how she sits down and gives whatever that face is, whatever it is. I'm sorry, this character is comedy gold, and you're all Ossasims if you disagree with me. But just like how I, according to my friends here, Adora Borb and she, my friends, all I do is special interest yap because apparently I'm Ossatistic. Denji lost track of things and couldn't focus on anything, just like me, for real. So he got none of that information, and the best part is Sword Hottie here tells him, remember, the fate of mankind rests on your shoulders. Like, Jesus Christ, Denji. Got none of that at all, and now he has this extra pressure? I also think it is like Denji to not ask again what that plan was. Not only does this make the three strategies mysterious, which is a necessity, but it also means that the only people who know it will know what is going on. So essentially, Fujimoto got away with telling the ending to his characters without telling the ending to his readers, because this is a necessary moment that needed to happen in the plot moving forward. So I don't want to see any special interest yapping of your own about how this and that is bad. Oh, I'm grooving again, I'm sorry. I'm working on it, okay? I don't hate you guys, I'm just... So here is the real deal. Another Evangelion reference. Who would have thought? I sort of want to start a weekly or like bi-weekly series while I am in college, generally like over-analyzing each new chapter or chapters of Chainsaw Man, because it is references like these, which if you know, unveil even more insight to the author's choices and what it means in the story, and it just makes everything better. So leave me a comment below if this is something you want to see, at least me try out a week or two as a test run. But the big dilemma in this initial scene is this paralyzing feeling he has, as evident by him laying in a nurse's bed, completely frozen, rigid, and staring at the ceiling. Once again, Evangelion references here, and it is the exact same motif used in that scene too. The idea here is that he has to do something about Asayoru because a war is going to break out if he doesn't. But he didn't even hear a word of the second half and wondered if he would be okay at the end of all of this. Now, this moment is supposed to give the reader a sense that Denji is paralyzed by indecision, but also is a direct callback to the main theme of Denji's character in Part 1. Multiple people are now pulling him in multiple different directions. Factions of all types want to use Denji for one thing or another, but ultimately Denji is paralyzed and can't even think for himself because he is too caught up. This is Shinji Ikari at the end of Evangelion. Everyone tells him to get in the robot and save the world, but nobody ever lets Shinji be who he wants to be. Shinji doesn't have a say. He doesn't have a choice. He is a slave to all of these other factors. This is rather interesting and more on the nose when you consider Lil D, the Rei Ayanami lookalike, is telling Denji this too. Meep meep. So what does Denji want? Well, that, I think, is the missing key here, and something we'll talk about throughout most of this video. And as he recalls the kiss from Yoru and, well, the flashing of Lil D's underwear, what becomes even more apparent is that Yoru and Lil D know how to sway and use Denji for their own gains. Yoru's kiss, Lil D's thighs, these are all ways to manipulate his hormones, which is significant with Denji feeling like he needs to jerk off. Now, this shows that Denji is overwhelmed and feels like he needs some kind of release from it all. But while I am talking about this, I know it's gross, but hear you out. Please stick with me, Gooners. Outside of reproducing, ejaculation, climaxing, orgasms, these are ways to relieve stresses, anxieties, and worries that build up over time. It's not a way to solve these issues, but it clears the minds of men and women, which is why during you're okay, right? But then right afterwards, it washes over you like Reiner Braun in every episode of Attack on Titan the final season. It's a temporary reprieve. But why is that important? Well, it shows that Denji is looking for any kind of way out of this. That's what this symbolizes. It doesn't exactly mean he wants Yoru and Asa to be saved, or all of this is going to be over. What he feels right now is he just simply wants to run away like Shinji Ikari wanted to in Evangelion. Which is why Fujimoto took this moment to reintroduce Diarrhea Woman back into the fold. Fumiko, hear me out guys, Mifune... Oh god, this woman's terrible. Now, this appearance is perfectly timed because of the dilemma Denji is now facing. Her arrival is set up as a tantalizing offer with multiple ways out. One of which unsaid, but implied. Let's break it down further. Fumiko tells Denji that he is being used by D, and to convince him, she tells him to play out the tape. If Denji defeats war, then it will trigger Death's power and wipe out mankind. So Denji, by choosing to fight with D, will end humanity if they win. But this is confusing to Denji, because her action of saving him and carrying him to the school means that she must be good by saying she's a good girl, which is a direct reference to Makima telling Power she is a good girl, amongst the many other times she said it, by the way. But Fumiko counters that he shouldn't be so sure. She killed several public safety colleagues of hers, and even her multiple times. Now, this is where this chapter gets absolutely crushingly insane. At age 14, Fumiko made a contract with the STD devil, and so with every person she has sex with, they become her. So there is a Fumiko in every single country, every place all around the world. Oh goody. Due to that, Fumiko is effectively someone that can get information routinely from herself all over the world and is it's practically immortal too. This is a game changer because what this does is allow Fumiko to convincingly tell Denji that all around the world, everything is breaking down into all-out anarchy. Without war's involvement, wars are breaking out. People are contracting diseases and dying without Death's involvement, and ultimately mankind is on the fast track to doom. All of this, from my perspective, is Fumiko overloading and preying upon the other aspects of humans to control Denji's, fear. Just like any devil, she isn't necessarily being honest. She is being selective so that she can do her best to convince Denji through horrible information like a 24/7 news network that the world is doomed and to give up. So basically like Fox News, CNN, or Breitbart. It's fear-mongering without reporting any of the actual news that is happening, which would paint an entirely different and arguably more balanced picture of things. So this is Fumiko's way to convince him. If he eats death, then nobody can die, wars continue on nonstop because they're already happening anyways, and he gets to secure the one thing he always wanted, peace and happiness with the girl he loves, Yoru, which is essentially like the doomer ending, like the Redditor, Twitter, like fanatic ending. This is the people who hate AOT's ending. This is the ending they want. Because to sweeten the deal, Fumiko very expertly tells Denji that as long as he kills Death, he will finally obtain his happiness and live with the girl he loves forever, because Yoru loves Denji, which is why she wasn't able to turn him into a weapon. And of course, ends her bargain with her telling Denji to ask Yoru to spare her life. And Denji simply looks over, rightfully noticing Fumiko is using him, and calls it out, and sees a nude photo of her as he sits in bed saying, she's a really good girl. Alright, ladies and fin boys, unlike Reddit and Twitter, there is so much to analyze and discuss from all of this. Here is the main God, I was grieving again, wasn't I? Here is the main issue here with how this chapter ended and why it is so important. Denji's final line signifies to the reader that he doesn't know which side to choose, or rather, we don't know what side he may have chosen. And for the comments saying that there was no character progression with Denji being fooled again, I don't know, think again on that one. Denji tells Fumiko straight up that she is trying to manipulate him. We're past that, just like how he knew Yoru would use him in the pot stickers chapter. Denji isn't dumb. He knows the deal at this point. But what Denji right now is, he's like a fence in the middle, or like he has a chair in the middle of the road. He sees the good and bad in both directions. He sees the good in the actions of D, Fumiko, and to some extent Yoru, that they've all taken. But he is being tugged and pulled and dragged back and forth, and I can't help but feel that the way this story ends is with Denji making his own decision. In a way, I feel like this entire story is an allusion to society and its polarizations right now, or whatever it is, month to month, week to week. Denji is stuck, silent, observing and told to be into this and that, but nobody ever asks how Denji feels, what he believes in, and what he brings to the table, something briefly touched upon as early as the Bomb Girl arc. So, I think there is a potential future where Denji chooses none of these options and simply does what he thinks is best for himself, which is what obviously Denji wants. But what does Denji want? Pure happiness, right? And Denji also knows that something like that isn't a set destination in the slightest. As we've seen over the series, he knows. Humans aren't animals that can think in absolutes because humans change every millisecond of the time they are alive. Nobody remains the same, nobody. So, why in the hell wouldn't Denji just want to bring balance to all of this and say, screw all you guys. I'm just gonna bring balance to everything and just everyone gets to do their own thing. The world has and will always be on fire and messed up. That's just an outcome of progress itself. We rebuild, build anew, and sometimes we destroy as well. But I ask, where is the hope in any of these outcomes that were presented to him? D basically wants Denji to eat war and kill humanity. Fumiko wants an eternal war where she is spared because, oh well, humans are messed up anyways, might as well make sure they're all messed up forever. But there is no balance. These are just extremes. I think Denji is a character sitting in the middle, like that Shinji Ikari character, at the end will probably do whatever the hell he wants to do and bring balance to things. Because that's more often than not what people actually think. They just want to live their lives normally. By the way, I'm sorry if I'm special interest yapping and very autistic at the moment, but that is just how I feel about this. But there is one other detail you all missed. I guarantee that. The photo that Fumiko gave Denji of her nude kinda isn't what you think it is. This photo, in my theory, is a loaded gun with one bullet. If Denji wants to give up, call Fumiko and let her kill him. That's my read at least. This option is the worst one possible, but I also think that could even be a red herring when you look into it as much as I have. Maybe this photo could be a tool Denji uses just like he could use Lil D. Hell, maybe even Yoru's feelings as well, because remember, Yoru's feelings are taken from Asa. She's the one who loves Denji truly, and that's another question mark. Is Asa Mitaka the princess in the castle, guarded by the fierce dragon Yoru, or is this something more that we just can't see yet? Because where Denji goes, Asa must follow. After all, they are the perfect couple, which negates their weaknesses and supports their strengths. What are her thoughts? What will be her involvement? Yada yada. But how is Denji going to use everything around him to make his own plan to bring his own version of balance and peace to himself and everyone around him? That's the question. Either way, no matter the slice or the dice, this chapter of Chainsaw Man is very highly important, which shows one thing: Denji is in a pickle. But what does Denji want? If you haven't, please check out this video on the screen for more Chainsaw Man goodness. And on the right is a link to my video on Dandadan Chapter 206. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.